Radio Bypass, bringing you rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Discover new bands. Here's some old favorites on Radio Bypass.
Hey, rockers. Today on Radio Bypass, we're really excited to be joined by a man that's been a part of a lot of great bands over the years and is currently the frontman for the Dead Daisies. Please welcome John Corabi. How are you, John?
I'm good, buddy. How you doing today?
I'm doing better than you because I'm not cold.
True. You know, it's weird. I don't know what's going on, but it was funny. Just maybe right after Christmas, my wife and I have a huge motorhome, and my wife and I and another couple friends of ours, we all went down to Destin, Florida, right there on the Gulf of the Gulf, Mexico, America, whatever you want to call it. We went down there and we kind of hung out. We were camping, whatever. And then right after we left, literally like 2 days after we left, that entire area got dumped on with snow. And it's just been the weirdest winter. So right now I'm in Nashville, and we're just kind of the remnants of the dumping we got the other day is just kind of melting away, but it's still colder than shit here. So
Yeah. As soon as you came out, I saw the steam. I remember that well from living in Chicago. Well, that's cool. I'm glad you could join us today. I wanted to start our conversation with talking about the latest thing the Dead Daisies have put out. We had Doug Aldrich here a couple of weeks back, and he had talked about a video that was coming, and we thought it might come right when our chat was going out. It did not until a few days later. So I thought it would be great for you to pick up on it because it looks really cool, and I think you guys had a lot of fun with it. So the latest thing from the Dead Daisies that you put out is a video for Love That'll Never Be.
Yes.
How's the response been to that?
So far so good, man. Yesterday, the management set up a ton of radio interviews, which is for me surprising in this current climate of, the type of band that we are. You know it. You've been in radio. It's a little unfortunate here in America. But bands like us don't get a lot of support from radio anymore.
Right.
And this single, I talked with somebody at our team, and I was like, hey, how's it going? Are we getting any traction with this thing? And they're like, yeah, dude, it's kicking ass. Let's keep it going. So I don't know what that means, but apparently I spent the entire day yesterday just calling radio stations all over the country, and everybody seems to love the song. So I'm pleased about that.
That's awesome, especially if they're playing it on the radio, because we all know how hard it is to get a band like this on the radio these days. Yeah,
and it's funny. Like, a lot of people ask us why we go to Europe and stuff, as much as we do, but I'm like, it's. I was just saying this to one of the DJs yesterday. I said, no disrespect, because I know how it works now. You know what I mean? But this is something that's been gradually building. I mean, even back when I was doing Union after Motley in the late 90s, I remember sitting we were at a radio station in Texas, and the DJ was complaining. He was like, man, it's crazy. Like, I get a playlist from Atlanta, Georgia every week, from Clear Channel, and it's like, here's the 20 songs you're allowed to play.
Right.
And it's the same with all the radio stations that Clear Channel owns, same list. And he goes, but I live in Texas, and people in Texas, they want to hear ZZ Top, Stevie Ray Vaughan, King's X. We want to hear the Texas bands.
Right.
And so it sucks for the bands, but it also sucks for the DJs, because I grew up in a time,
Sure.
I don't know how old you are. I'll be 66 in April.
I'm just a teeny bit younger than you, not much.
Yeah, but when we were growing up in the 70s, '80s, the DJs were like rock stars when they would go do a radio night at a club or introduce a band at a show. They were like fucking rock stars.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like I feel like the DJs have been neutered a little bit as well. You know what I mean?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
yeah, you got a whole genre of bands that are not getting any support from radio, and you've got a whole, you know, I don't know how many hundreds or thousands of DJs across America that literally just they don't do everything. They don't do anything. There's no
Mhm.
personality anymore. There's no, Venus flytraps and Johnny Fever and
Exactly.
that shit's gone, dude. Jim Ladd, you know
Yep.
what I mean? And it, it
Yep.
kind of it kind of sucks. So I'm just happy that we're getting any traction at all at American radio, and hopefully, again, I just keep my fingers crossed. Hopefully, it pays off.
Right. Well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you too, because yeah, that's awesome to hear. And yes, radio frustrates the heck out of me. And for exactly what you said is why I started doing the podcast that I do back in 2017. I finally fired it up because I was sickened that for two reasons. One, new bands, forget about it. They're not getting on at all, the radio.
Right.
And then the legacy bands, only the same, whatever songs that were being played in the 80s or the 70s, those are the only songs that still get played on the radio today. Any new material gets ignored. And that was just driving me absolutely insane. And I forget when it was, early 2000s, I talked to a program director for our classic rock station in Chicago. And I'm like, hey, man, how about you just let me do, I'll do it at 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't care. Give me a Sunday night, Monday morning or something. Let me do an hour of new music on your radio station. Because and it can be the classic artists that you play, but let me play their new stuff. Oh no, nobody cares about the new music. Da, da, da. And I'm like, that can't be. I cannot be the only one that gets excited to hear new material from my favorite artists as well as learning about new artists.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like my son, I have a solo band. And my son plays drums, but when he's not working with me, he goes out and he does other things. And he's played with this band that was popular in the '90s called Rehab, and then he also played with Tantric and a few other whatever. But he was doing a little run for a minute, and I remember him calling me. It was a few years back. He was in a van, you know, 10 dudes in a van,
Right.
pulling a
With the
trailer.
gear. Yeah.
And he even said, he goes, Dad, like, how how the fuck did you do this?
Mhm.
I've been doing it for 40 years now. And he's like, I don't get it. Like it's impossible. Like he's like, radio, like nobody's helping us. I go, it's unfortunate, bud, but it was a different time when I started this thing,
Right.
and it is odd now. I don't know how these new bands are doing it, because I've at least got, you know the legacy of, the Scream and Motley and Union and the Dead Daisies, and so I can go out and I can still get, even on my own, I'll go do acoustic shows, and like I get paid to show up.
Right. And enough to cover expenses and have a little money left over.
Yeah, and they'll
Yeah.
have like a hotel room, and then I can sell merch, and again, I've got a little bit of a legacy, so I can sell my acoustic record or my Live '94 album,
Right.
new singles or a book,
Right.
T-shirts, and it supplements, all this stuff. But these new bands, they don't have that option, man. It's like most of these clubs are like, yeah, you can play here for the door.
Right.
And if there's only 20 people there, how much merch are you going to sell? You know
Right.
what I mean? So half of the time, these guys are like literally sharing a $5 burger from McDonald's
Hmm.
to survive. And for the life of me, I don't understand how they're doing it.
Yeah.
And now it's funny on the flip side, a band like us will go to Europe, and the DJs over there, they're still a little old school.
Right.
So they still do things like if you were DJing in Europe, you can play what you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's your personality that's coming through as the DJ. And then you help break new music or new bands or even a legacy band that's got a new single out that nobody knew about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a different time, man, and it's funny. I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but I still meet people, even at Dead Daisies shows, that come up to me and they go, "Oh man, dude, you're my favorite singer." I go, "Awesome, man, thank you." And then they'll say something like, "So what have you been doing since Motley?"
Oh my gosh. No
And
clue.
I just sit there and I look at him and I go, "Okay, I really just need to ask. I'm your favorite singer." Well, they're like, "Yeah, one of my favorite singers, like you." And okay, how is it that you do not know that I did 3 records with Union? I did
ESP
2 solo records, ESP, and I've done like this record now that we got Light 'Em Up is my 5th record
with the Daisies.
with the Daisies. Like, how is that possible?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? And they're like, I don't know, dude. Like, I didn't realize you did all those records. And that's the disconnect.
But but see that is one of the things I always think about when we're talking about radio and how it used to matter when we were young, because radio is a passive thing. So you found a radio station that liked what you're playing, and they just sat back and they learned about new bands and what was going on with bands from that. Now you have to be a big enough fan that you'll take the time to seek it out, because that's what I don't like. I have this love-hate thing about the internet, because I love that there's a lot of ways for musicians to promote themselves now, but it's also bad that there's a lot of ways for musicians to promote themselves because nobody knows where the fuck to go. There's not a funnel putting it into one place that makes it easy for people
Right.
to learn.
Well, and the weird thing too is, as awesome as the internet is, like I was using this as an example. I can see something on my, let's say, Facebook page. I'll see something and then I'll read it. It could be about a concert that's coming to Nashville. And I'll see it and I'll close it. And then my wife will come in from work or whatever, and I'll go, "Oh, hey, babe, check this out." And I'll go to my Facebook page and I'll start scrolling to find that ad. And in that 30 minutes from when I saw the ad to when I want to show her, like 200,000 things have been posted.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't find it again.
Right.
And, it is crazy, like how we're inundated like so fast with information
Yep.
that it's not sticking either. You know what I mean? So there is a beauty to the internet, but there's also a curse to it as well. It's kind of like auto-tune in a recording studio.
Right. Right. It's a good analogy. Well, anyway, all right. So we'll quit complaining now. So let's talk some fun stuff. Let's talk music. So you mentioned the Dead Daisies and all the records you've done with that band. You were out of the Daisies for a little period of time, and during that time, you released a couple of singles that I did play on our weekly music show when they had come out. Cossi Bella, So Beautiful, and Your Own Worst Enemy in 21 and 22. And at that point in time, I know there was talk of a record that did not happen. Now you've rejoined the Daisies, for which we're all very glad that you did, because I love Glenn Hughes, but somehow for me, you with the Daisies just makes the Daisies for me. I don't know why. even though I love Glenn, but I just didn't love him in this band for some reason. So I was really glad that you came back.
All
But
good.
because you came back to the Dead Daisies, will you still pursue putting out some more John Corabi music?
Yes, yeah, and that was the thing when I came back. I told because I had a little dinner meeting with David Lowy,
Hmm.
and just for the record, even though I left the band, I didn't leave on bad terms. It wasn't like a fight or like David's always been awesome to me, and even when I left. A lot of people just assumed it was like there was like some weird tension or just and whatever. And but it was funny because the entire time I was gone, I was in communication with Glenn. I was David and I do this thing. We always send each other like joke memes or joke things that we find funny and humorous. So we'll send shit back and forth. I did the same with Doug, management. So I was in constant communication with them. And even at one point, they were getting ready to go out and tour with Glenn. And I don't know if, I don't know. I think Glenn was sick. I
Yeah.
don't know what was wrong with him, but he wasn't feeling well. And David Lowy said they had set up maybe a couple weeks of rehearsals, but Glenn couldn't make the first week. So I was like, okay. So he asked me if I'd come up to New York, and they had their set list, and I printed out all the lyrics, and I just kind of helped them. I just kind of ran them through their paces.
Right.
And then once we were done, they packed up, went to LA, and then they rehearsed another week out there with Glenn, and then they went on tour. So it was always a good thing. You know what I mean? I was like, whatever. But I had a meeting with David Lowy, and the arrangement now is I write music. I have a little home studio now during COVID, which was awesome. I took lessons and learned how to use Pro Tools
Nice.
after 960 years in the music business. I finally figured out how to record myself. And so I'll just literally sit down and just, even if it's just a rough idea with no lyrics, just a riff, whatever, I'll record it, save it. So I told David I would love to come back to the Daisies. I had a little time off and got to hang with my family for a minute. But I said I will give you guys first options at the songs. The ones you guys want, we'll do with the Daisies. The ones you don't want, I would still like to be able to record and do solo records at some point.
Hmm.
And they were like, okay, awesome. So, um, I got to be honest with you, I'm kind of, I know this is going to sound really weird, but I'm very blessed now to be in the situation that I'm in because I can get together with the Daisies and we can just do a straight ahead, kick ass rock and roll record where there's high energy and I'm banging my head and doing my thing. And now, but I've really been obsessed lately with artists like Bob Seger, uh, John Cougar Mellencamp, John Fogerty, the Eagles. Uh, so I'm like, I was oddly enough, I was just sitting there talking to my manager a couple weeks ago, and I just said, man, if I do a solo record, I think I want to do something that's a little more grown up
Hmm.
and a little more musical, where there's strings and pianos and if the song requires a ukulele, I can put a ukulele on there. Who cares? So I kind of have all my bases covered. I can do my rock stuff with the Daisies, and then I can do something that's a little more adult contemporary. for myself, whatever.
Mhm.
So, Daisies have first shot at everything. And yes, I would like to be able to still, actually, between me, you, and the fence post, I can't say when it's going to come out, but I just signed a deal to do a solo record with a great company that actually believes in me.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I literally just signed it like a week ago. So they want a solo record, and they're completely content with that whole Bob Seger, Fogerty, just doing something a little more grown up. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm very life is good.
That's good. I'm glad. I'm glad because because that's something that I've thought about for you and a lot of guys from the time frame that you started. You've probably had a bit of a roller coaster. Some ups and downs, and and as we already discussed, things have changed so much now in 2025 from what it was in 1985. Um, so that's good to hear. I'm glad that you've arrived at a good place.
Yeah, and and to be honest with you, like we were talking earlier about the Scream record, but like I think I've gotten to a point now where it's like, you know, I, I know when I first moved here to Nashville, I'm sorry, I'm talking in a circle here,
That's
but
okay.
um, I came here prior to moving here because a guy, uh, this band Trick Pony, they're a country band. They did a celebrity golf tournament. I got invited to it, and you know, kind of hung out for the whole week. And I met a bunch of different country artists and just sports guys and whatever. And the guy that was actually running it with Trick Pony owned a publishing company here in Nashville. And just over the course of the week or so that I was there, he knew I was in Motley. But after I left, we kind of became friends a little bit. So he went online and he started researching me, and he started listening to things like um, he started listening to songs like Father, Mother, Son and uh, Drift Away from the Motley record and songs like October Morning Wind. And then he called me and he goes, wow, dude, like I'm really kind of surprised. I did not expect you to have so many acoustic songs throughout your career.
Hmm.
And I go, I love that's the first instrument I learned how to play. Like even still to this day, every song that I've ever written started on an acoustic guitar. I
Right.
just translate them.
Hmm.
So I moved here, and I think I've just kind of now gotten to a point where it's like I can do the rock thing, like I said, with the Daisies. Well, let me see what I can do from a musical point if I just focus on that. You know what I mean? That like I've always loved Bob Seger, even
Well,
back in the '70s. I've always loved Creedence and John Fogerty stuff, and the list goes on. James Taylor, Jim
right.
Croce. I've always loved these kind of guys. So you know, let me see what I can do.
Hmm.
And I don't think it's going to be much of a surprise for anybody. You know what I mean? It's just like I'm just taking all those things I did throughout my career, putting them on one record. You know
Right.
what I mean? So
Right.
it's going to be fun.
Well, that's interesting. I did not know you were a big Bob Seger guy or Mellencamp, but certain songs of yours lyrically, I feel like you did put a lot of thought into the lyrics, like "Song and a Prayer," for example, from the Dead Daisies. So I always kind of acquainted those songs a little bit with those artists, but I did not know that those were artists that actually did inspire you and that you're also into.
Yeah, and trust me, like I know for me, like the hardest part of writing a song is the lyrics.
Hmm.
It takes forever sometimes, but I'm like that guy that will literally sit and stare at a blank page for 3 days.
Hmm.
And then the thought comes that as soon as that first sentence comes, it all starts falling into place. But it's always been about what am I trying to say here? What story am I trying to tell?
Right.
And like song and a prayer. Um, you and I on the first, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
There's a theme there, and it could be just an old cliche, you know what I mean? Whatever. But that's the hard part for me is what is it I'm trying to say, and how do I make it somewhat poetic and fit in this song?
And
Do you know
tell
what I
that
mean?
story in 3 or 4 or 5 minutes too.
Yeah,
That I always think about when I listen to songs that especially really do make you feel that story. How in the hell did you manage to fit all that into this small time frame?
yeah, and it's weird. Even with the new song that we have out, "Love That'll Never Be." I've obviously over the last few days, I've had a lot of people ask me what the song's about. Is it based on personal experience? Is it, and it's a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
But yes, I've been in situations where I dated a girl or dated girls in my past, and I don't know if it was because there was an age difference or what the deal was, but they kind of said, at one point, well, I don't know if this is going to work. Let me see what my options are. And they would take off. And I would try to sit around and wait as long as I can to see if they figured it out. But then after it's at some point, you just go, I'm tapping out and I'm
Right.
moving on. Be- You know, and that's what the song's about. It's literally just about a girl who went to see what her options were, thought the grass was greener on the other side of the fence.
Right.
She jumped the fence, and now she realizes, I think what I was looking for, I had,
Right.
and now I can't get it back, which is something I think, and it doesn't even need to be about a relationship with a girl. It could even be about a job where
Mhm.
you leave a job because you think that job's going to be better. And then you get there and you go, oh, this is shit, dude.
Right.
I
Right.
should have fucking stayed where I'm at. At least I liked the people I worked with.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it could be about anything, but it's more about like, you know, looking at what you have and trying to find the glass half full instead of half empty and
Right.
making it work, and but that song took me forever, man. It was like I literally just sat there and stared at the fucking paper for like 2 days. And then all of a sudden, the first line came. She wakes up on the wrong side of the bed alone.
Hmm.
And then the whole thing painted itself.
So once you came up with that first line, then it started pouring
And
out
then it was like
easily.
it was like a floodgate. So,
Had you already written the music part, and
yeah,
then
the music
trying
was
to come up
done.
with
I
the
had
lyrics?
it. I had the melody. I had everything. And that's usually how I write.
Mhm.
I,
Oh,
I'll,
you're freezing up, John. Oh, you're
can
back.
you hear me
Yeah,
okay?
your Wi-Fi or whatever cut out for a minute. Oh, now it just cut out
Yeah, it's
again.
been janky.
Yeah, you're frozen right now, buddy. And I don't mean just from the temperature.
Can you hear me though?
Yep, you're
Uh,
back. You're back. Yep.
uh, no, I'm
Yeah, we
okay.
lost the audio
But
there for a minute.
I usually write the riff. I usually write the riff and the chord or chords, and then I'll scatter melody, and then I go, okay, this is great. Now let me write the lyrics. So that's like the last thing that happens. But um, yeah, that one it took me a minute, to kind of okay, what's my thought process here? What do I want to say? And then once it came, it came. But
Right.
it takes me a minute.
Well, I'm glad it came because it's a great song. Even though I love the hard rocking, like you said, high energy, fast moving stuff. This is a little more ballady. but it's still a great song. I love it. It's really good. I
Thank
mean, I
you.
like the whole album, of course, um, but that one I put up there. Maybe not for me. Maybe I don't love it as much as "Song and a Prayer," which is one of my big favorites. But it's really good. So I'm glad it poured out of
That's
you.
cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Another song that I thought about where I wondered what you were thinking is "Times Are Changing." It sounds like you're being kind of reflective there.
Actually, I got to be honest with you. That song, Marty had already started working on. That was a Marty
Okay,
song.
gotcha.
Um, and when we were doing the record, I mean, we had a ton of stuff. We always put like a Dropbox together
Hmm.
and put ideas into it. And I mean, there's probably still in the Dropbox, there's probably another 15 or 20 ideas we didn't even get to. But Marty saw the progression of the record and where we were going lyrically, energy wise. And uh, he was like, hey, man, I want you guys to hear this song. And uh, so he played it for us. And all of us were like, dude, this is fucking great. Like, so he was like, Crab, do you want to sit down and like maybe do a rewrite on the lyrics? And we're like, no, dude, it's
So
awesome.
those lyrics are not yours.
No, I didn't. I
Okay.
really had nothing to do with that song. I mean, we arranged it and whatever, and obviously I sang it. I put my spin on it, whatever. But Marty, again, Marty, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, is our secret weapon.
Hmm.
He's done a bunch of Dead Daisies records, so he's like a member of the band. You know
Right.
what I mean? He's a member of the team, and we were all getting together and putting ideas. And Marty's like, "Hey, I got this idea," and he threw it in the Dropbox, and we loved it. So we're like, "Fuck it, yeah, let's do it." You
Awesome.
know, there's no ego with this thing. At the end of the day, all we want is a great fucking record. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's one of the other things I love about this band is there is no ego. We've all known each other for I've known Marty since the Scream days.
Hmm.
I've known Doug since he was 16 living back in Philadelphia.
Hmm.
I've known Michael Devin since 2000. David Lowey's probably the only one I didn't really know, but I've known him now really well for 11 years.
Right.
So, um, I get to go to work with a bunch of ego-less friends, and we have a
Hmm.
great time doing it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is awesome. And that's not always easy to find the personalities, right? I'm sure,
Well,
uh,
it only took each one of us 40 years to get into this position. So,
exactly. But that's good. You guys appreciate it and respect one another, so that's good.
yep.
And I'm glad you guys keep making the records, even though, as we talked earlier, you're not going to get a lot of airplay on them. But I'm glad you guys still crank them out. And when you guys do your live shows, those are always well received, and you seem to have no trouble getting people out to the shows in spite of not getting a lot of support from radio. So that's awesome.
And even here, like we play smaller places in America, obviously,
Mhm.
because we haven't gotten the radio support unless we're opening for somebody like Kiss or Whitesnake, whatever. But we'll go out, we'll do like, club tours, we'll play, five, 600 people. But it's crazy. You can see the difference when we go to Europe. It's like three or four times that, five times that.
Right.
We play in theaters in all through Europe and still do the festivals and all that, whatever. But we're over there, we're getting we're getting that radio support, you know, from Germany and France and Italy and England and whatever. But we have a great time even here in America. We still we'll play a place that's 500, 600 seats and we still most of them are sold out. We have a great time and again, no complaints. We're having fun. And at the end of the day, that's really all that matters.
Right. Well, that's great, man. That's great. Um, Another thing that I before we wrap up, because I don't want to keep you too much longer out there. But as far as the Light 'Em Up album, I'm Gonna Ride was just a great song. You guys should play at Sturgis this coming year and do and do that.
I know
Uh,
there's another one too that's very close to my house. They do a thing in Panama City in May. It's called Thunder Beach, and I just told my wife, I go, if I ain't working, we're going. I want to go down. Like normally, like I've been to Sturgis, I've played Sturgis. I did it with Motley. I did it several times with Rat. Played it with Union. I've done it with the Dead Daisies. But I go, I just want to go to one of these fucking rallies and not play. I just
right.
want to ride around my bike, drink a beer, and have a good time with my wife. You know what I mean? So hopefully I can do that one in May.
That's cool. Yeah, I miss it. I when we moved from Chicago to California a few years back, I sold my motorcycle because it was just one less thing to worry about how to get it from there to here. And I have not bought another one yet since. So I kind of I miss riding. Although out here in California, I don't know if I'd want to, though. I'm not a big fan of that lane splitting and stuff.
Yeah, I had one when I was in Motley, and Tommy and I used to ride together, like from Thousand Oaks, California, down to Burbank. And I did it maybe 3 times, and I just said, "That's it, I'm done." I put that bike in the garage, and I never rode it again. I'm like,
Mhm.
it's fucking lunacy on the roads in California.
Yeah.
So I waited till I got here to Nashville, and now I have two. I have a trike that I ride around with my wife on, and then I have one called a 2010 Rocker C. It's like a little bit of a chopper.
Mhm.
It's uh, Harley's got a motorcycle out now called the Breakout. So it's like an original Breakout, but they kind of did them for 4 years, discontinued it, and then like 3 or 4 years later came out with a Breakout, which is it's the same bike. Yeah.
Is that a 107? What motor is in that?
That's a
103?
103, yeah, for that
Gotcha.
one. And then there's my trike. Can you see it?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's a 114. That's 2020.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's good. You bought that's not a separate trike bill. That's the whatever I forget what Harley calls it, but that's the one that's built from Harley.
Yeah, it's
The whole
Triglide.
thing. Triglide, thank you. I couldn't remember the name of it.
Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, again, like even Nashville's traffic is getting a little weird. Um, and my rocker, my two wheeler it's really just set up for one person.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's a little bit of a chopper front end, and um, so it was funny. I was in Florida last year, and my wife and I are just sitting in the pool at this RV park because I have a huge RV as well.
Hmm.
And so we went down to visit her mom, and we were hanging out. We're in the pool, and the pool was right by it's like a coastal highway. And we were just sitting there, and I was like, I'm not getting a trike. That's like an old man bike. Can't do it. Can't do it. And I swear to God, in like the 30 minutes or an hour we were in the pool, I think I saw like 150 trikes go by. And it was like, yeah, there's some old, fat, bearded, but it was like mostly younger couples.
Right.
So I was like, so I turned to her, I go, if I got a trike, would you be cool with riding? And she goes, yeah, I would love that. So I'm like, all right. I literally came home. I called my buddy at a Harley dealership, a manager, and I go, you guys got any trikes? He goes, yeah, actually, I have one sitting here right now. He sent me a picture of it. I go, I'll be up tomorrow. And I literally bought this bike.
Yeah.
So,
Well, for traveling, it's great because you get a little extra storage space with the trike. So nothing wrong. With the first
dude,
time I rode one, first
it's
time I rode
crazy.
one, the hard part was remembering that I don't have to put my feet down when I
Yeah,
start.
well, and that's what my buddies. I rode this, but I rode this bike literally every day for like a month, and then it was like I should probably get out and start my truck. You know what I mean? Whatever. But my buddies, I took my two-wheeler out, and my buddy Wes goes, "Hey, dude, don't forget to put your feet down at the light." And I'm like, "Yeah, I got it." But I love this thing, man. It's got the stereo. You can hear me. Like my dogs can hear me like 2 blocks away. I'm cranking Zeppelin. I come around that curve, and they're like, "Daddy's home." But um, it's got a killer stereo, reverse. The handlebars are
Right.
heated. Like you said, the storage. It rides great, and it's lit up like a Christmas tree.
Right.
So you can see that thing. It's like a car. Like even my wife was following me. She goes, "That thing's as wide as a Honda Civic in the back."
Hmm.
So I like it. She feels safe on it and whatever. So we're good.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I don't blame you at all. If I ever get another one, who knows? Maybe I'd go that route too. I'm not sure, but I don't think I want to get one while I'm here, though. Like I said, as much as I miss riding, I don't think I'm comfortable.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, even in even in California, I don't think I'd have too much of an issue riding a trike
Hmm.
because, like I said, the back end of it, even at night, it looks like a Camry or a Honda Civic or something. You know
Right.
what I mean? It's completely lit up. So, um, and then again, I always take whatever pipes are on the bike. I take them off and give me the loudest ones you got.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and then I have a truck horn as well on both of my bikes. So if I had to hit that horn, dude, you know
You-
I'm coming.
Yeah. I was say you're not going to be missed.
Nope.
That's funny. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, I believe it was when you were playing in Rat, there was a period where you were doing guitar, not being a front man.
Right.
Um, do you have a preference? Do you enjoy playing guitar and being just that guy more than being a front man, or vice versa, or are they equal?
I listen. I love playing guitar, and that's honestly, I kind of backed into the singing thing. I started out as a guitar player, um, and it was only due to a talent show that I did in school.
Uh,
And at the last minute, the singer couldn't go or whatever, and I was just like, "Is anybody going to step up to the mic and sing?" No, okay, I'll do it. And we literally, I walked up and I sang "House of the Rising Sun," and we did that monkey song, "I'm Not Your Stepping Stone."
great song, my favorite from them.
Yeah, and so I did them, and we actually won the talent show. So at that point, the bug was a little bit in my ear. But then later, I also joined a band that had a singer and they wanted a rhythm guitar player that could do backing vocals. Yeah, I could do that. And then, this is back in the club days of playing covers and doing 5 sets a night, so each set I would do maybe 2 songs on my own in the middle. He sang all the stuff like Journey, Kansas, Loverboy, whatever. And then I would do the Aerosmith, the Van Halen, the Dio kind of stuff. Um, and then I just got hired a bigger cover band. Um, they were making more money, and they're like, I want you to sing for our band." And I'm like, "Oh, cool. The guitar." No, no, no. Put the guitar down. I just want you to front this band. And then, you know, it just kind of snowballed from there. But the thing with Rat was I saw Blotzer. This was when Piercy left for a minute. And I ran into Bobby Blotzer at a place. It used to be called, it was called Gazzari's
Oh,
in
sure.
LA, but I think it was called the Key Club. And I want to say Steel Panther was playing. And I went there, and Blotzer called me over and he goes, "Hey, dude, we need a singer." And this was like literally, I'd done Union right after Motley. And I'm like, "No, dude, I bought that shirt with Motley. I am not interested."
Right.
Um, so the next day, Robbie Crane was already in the band. Robbie called me and he goes, "Yeah, dude, I heard Blotzer talk to you." And I said, "Yeah, I'm not interested." And he goes, "Yeah, we need a singer and a guitar player." Uh, they needed, Robin Crosby was sick.
Mhm.
Kerry Kelly had done one tour with them, and then he went off to do, I don't know what, he left to go do something else.
Right.
So I was just sitting there and I'm like, well, I'm doing Union, and we were struggling to get off the ground. Bruce had just gotten offered the Grand Funk gig. So I said to Robbie, I go, well, I can play guitar. I'll do that. And he was like, wait, okay. So we bullshitted for a minute. Nobody realized that I played guitar.
Right.
So I was like, all right. So then Warren called, asked me to come to his house. And he was like, "Are you sure you want to do this?" I go, "Yeah, man, I'm cool with it. Whatever." He goes, "All right, learn the harmony solo for Round and Round."
Uh-huh.
So I go, "Okay." I went to his house. We had some lunch, pulled the guitar out. We didn't even plug in. We just sat there with electric guitars. I did the solo, and Warren goes, "You're in." And that was it. The coolest thing about Rat, if this makes any sense at all, a lot of people don't get it, but I did it because obviously I love music. I love being in a band. I love touring. I love everything about the music business. But it just gave me an opportunity to walk away from starting a band where, if you're like one of the, original members, or you're starting a band, you're worried about how many records did we sell? How many tickets did we sell? How many t-shirts did we sell? You're worried about all that shit. Where
Right.
with Rat, I still got to do what I love doing. And then
Without any of that pressure.
Friday, yeah, it was weird, dude. I would literally walk on stage. I had a case right next to me. I had a bottle of Jameson, a couple of Guinness on ice, and an ashtray. And I would literally light a cigarette, take a swig of whiskey, have a Guinness. I'd play my parts. I'd sing my backing vocals. And then I would do 5 shows a week. And then Friday, I'd put my hand out and they'd stick a check in my hand. I
Right.
didn't have to worry about all the other bullshit.
Right.
So I took a mental break for a minute, and nobody understood it. But I'm like, hey, I'm doing what I love to do. I don't give a shit if I'm singing. I'm still playing music. I'm still writing music. I'm still doing my thing. So it worked out.
So I guess the answer to my question is that you don't really have a preference. You love it all. If you're just
No,
a guitar player guy, you're good. If you're the frontman guy, you're good. You just love it all.
yeah. And it's like, I know somebody asked me before, like, well, what would you do if you couldn't sing anymore? I guess I would start looking for rhythm guitar player gigs. I don't know. I just love playing music, you
Right.
know, and I've never, which could be part of my downfall. I've never had like a huge ego where it's like, oh, I need to be the main focus. I
Mhm.
don't give a shit. I like doing what I'm doing. Who cares?
Right.
Whatever. You know what I mean? So, but again, too, you know, I love all types of music.
Right.
So I know you were talking earlier about the 2 songs that I released. A lot of people were disappointed in that first song, Casibella.
It was a
They're
little
like, what?
different, probably, from what people were used to at that point, because you had been cranking out the Dead Daisies records up to then.
Yeah, but it was like if you've known anything about me or followed my career in interviews, I've said it a million times. You know, I mean, I love music. I have a lot of favorite bands depending on my mood,
Hmm.
but obviously, top three: Beatles, Zeppelin, Aerosmith.
Yep.
And if you look at Aerosmith, Aerosmith is a huge Beatles influence as well. You know what I
Obviously,
mean?
yeah, for sure.
So I love Queen. And I've always said that, like, Penny Lane is one of my favorite songs by the Beatles. Killer Queen is one of my favorite songs by Queen.
Hmm.
And even when I was working on that song, I played it for Marty. Marty's like, I'm not hearing it, dude. I don't get it. So this is right when I took the Pro Tools class. I said, you know what? I'm gonna fucking do that song. I'm gonna lay it down. And so I literally like went through the piano, all the piano. I did it like chord by chord, and I figured it all out. Then I did the guitars. Then I did the solos. Then I did the bass. Did the drums. I got the whole thing mapped out. I sang it, and then I had a buddy come over and help with all the backing vocals. And then I sent it to Marty, and he went, "Oh, fuck, yeah, dude, I totally get it now." You know what I mean?
Right.
And, you know, again, no ego. I just love music. So, you know, I might have something on a solo record that sounds like a fucking bossa nova. I don't know.
Right.
You know, I just write. And if I like it, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to record it. I'm going to put it out. And I don't know why that surprises people.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, the only thing I thought of with when Cosy Bella came out is just, you know, because not everybody's weird like me that I start with an artist and then I just stay with them forever and follow everything they do. So for me, you doing that song wasn't a surprise, but because of the Dead Daisies, though, I was thinking, well, this definitely sounds different than what you've done the last few years. So
Right.
maybe that's what it is, why people are a little more surprised by it. But I thought it was a great song.
Right. But you know what's funny? Like the minute I open my mouth, it sounds like me singing.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just a different, and again, it could be my downfall, but I like eclectic.
Hmm.
That's why I love Zeppelin. That's why I loved Aerosmith. I loved Queen. I loved those bands. Now, don't get me wrong. I love AC/DC too, but not like Zeppelin or the Beatles or Queen or Aerosmith. Uh,
Well, yeah,
you know,
because what you're liking about those bands is that they go in so many directions.
yes,
Yeah,
I love the fact that a band like Led Zeppelin can do Trampled Underfoot and then Misty Mountain Hop. Then they can do the Lemon song, which is totally blues, and
right.
then turn around and do the Rain song.
Hmm.
That to me was just intriguing. It was awesome. Uh, Same with Queen, you know.
Right.
So, um, you know, eh, I've had people tell me though, you know, you'd be a lot more successful if you just kind of stuck to one thing. You know, even my wife, who's a hairdresser, she's looked at different pictures of me throughout my career, and she's like, I like this one. You've got short, spiky Rod Stewart hair. Motley, you've got waist length curly hair and no beard. Now you've got like halfway down your back hair with a full beard. And I'm like, I don't know. It's a fucking mood. I don't know. People
You're a
change.
chameleon.
Yeah, it's like I didn't realize that there was something wrong with changing it up every now and then.
Right.
You know, try eating Fruit Loops every day for breakfast. You're going to get sick of it eventually.
I'm with you, John. I'm with you. Well, the bands you just mentioned will answer my last two questions I was going to ask you. Is as since we're talking about you being a singer and a guitarist, who some of your favorite singers were. I think we probably know the answer to that now. Steven Tyler, Freddie Mercury, uh,
Yeah, but
McCartney, John Lennon.
it, again, I've never like I like everybody
Mhm.
for some reason. I mean, I could sit here and go, oh yeah, my favorite singers are McCartney, Robert Plant, Steven Tyler, and that's it. But it's like you cannot sit and listen to Bohemian Rhapsody and not find something beautiful about Freddie's voice.
Right.
You can't listen to uh, All Right Now
And
by
now we're Paul
Three
Rogers.
and just
Yep.
go, dude, fucking Paul Rogers is an animal.
Yep.
Sammy Hagar. Even you look at somebody like a lot of people complain about it, like Brett Michaels. Brett Michaels does some stuff too that's just like, oh fuck, dude, that's awesome. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? It's awesome. So I'm not a person that like my I can't say that this is the only guy that influenced me, or do you know what I mean? I try to find beauty in whatever. Like to me, again, another huge uh singers for me was that blend of Mark Farner and Don Brewer,
Mhm.
where they would sing harmonies together or individually.
Right.
Um, Glenn Hughes and David Coverdale,
Mhm.
like in their day, man, you both of those guys were untouchable.
Yeah, for
And,
sure.
yeah, so Steve Marriott, who I had the great fortune of meeting right before he died. Are you shitting me? That guy was a fucking beast.
Yep. Yep.
So but it goes beyond that. I can listen to one of the earlier concerts earliest when I was young. My folks took me to see together at a place in Philadelphia called the Latin Casino, and I went and saw Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin
Together.
together,
Oh wow.
together, and it was fucking brilliant. So I listen to things. Maybe I'm just weird, but I, you know, I just love music.
Right.
And here's another one that you would never expect in a million years. One of my all-time favorite singers, Glenn Campbell.
Really?
Yes.
I could see maybe the guitar. I wouldn't have thought to sing it.
No, but that was a guy who had a voice that was so pure, he could sing a fucking menu,
Mhm.
a phone book. Listen to songs like Galveston or Rhinestone Cowboy or Wichita Lineman. I mean, it's just insane. And so if you can't look at something even outside of your box and find some, maybe beauty is not the word, but something good about it, and then store it back there, you know what I mean? Just throw
Right.
it in the back, and you know, we're all influenced by something. Steve
Right.
Perry, he was totally influenced by what's his name, Jackie, the
Jack.
old, yeah, I can't remember the guy's name, the old
Yeah.
R&B guy.
I'm picture. Yeah, I'm picturing
Oh
when you.
no, I'm sorry, Sam Cooke.
Oh, Sam Cooke. Okay, but there is
Yeah,
Jackie though too. That's bugging me. I can't think of the last name, but I think I know who you were trying to think of there.
yeah, it was Sam Cooke. So you take things and you just, I call it the Rolodex. You just store things in the Rolodex. I do. I try to,
Right.
and you know, you listen to things and at some point you can use it in your own music. You know what I mean? In your own quest for I want to do something here, and then you sit there and you think of whatever, and you'll open that Rolodex and you start rolling things and you go, oh, that chord progression that Glenn Campbell did in Galveston, where or I remember working on a song called Old Man Wise with Union, and we were sitting there listening to it. We couldn't find a drum beat that worked in that song.
Mhm.
And it was just sitting there, and I was just sitting there with my head down. And the more I listened to it, and then finally I just said to Brent Fitz, I go, hey, dude, what about something a little chaotic, like Four Sticks by Zeppelin?
Right.
And as soon as I said it, he was like, oh, yeah, okay. And he went in and he came up with that beat that's in Old Man Wise, which is really just it's just a drum beat. It's just all fills. He's just going nuts. But it's like being able to go to that Rolodex of shit that you've heard throughout your entire life
Right.
and go, this will work. I can make this work with this idea. So I just love listening to all kind of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I agree with you. I like listening to all kinds too. I will admit, I will always lean more toward the hard rock, heavy metal side as being my favorite and most listened to. But just like you, yeah, I mean, I love Bob Seger. I think he's one of the greatest songwriters in my lifetime, especially lyrically. Love him. Love Mellencamp, and I love all kinds of music, including Frank Sinatra, that my mom was a huge fan of. So I grew up hearing Frank Sinatra blasting in the house all the time. Um, but high energy hard rock is definitely, I would say, at the top for me. And then I like all the rest.
Yeah. And I mean, but, again, even, you think about bands like, Zeppelin, you know, Zeppelin was also, if you sat down and you listened to it, obviously they were into the blues,
Quite
you know,
obvious.
but, it's like, uh, very quick. I'll try to be as quick as possible, but, the song Kashmir, which is like probably one of their most played songs in their catalog,
Mhm.
was inspired from hearing music that they heard in Morocco on a trip.
Right.
And, and then they were in Jamaica and, they wound up writing a song, some people say Dire Maker, but it's called Jamaica. And that kind of had even though it's heavy, it still had a reggae influence to it. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Robert Plant was a huge fan of Joni Mitchell, Joan Baez, like all this stuff. So he wrote Going to California. When he talks about the girl, it was like his, uh, at that point in his life, he was like, dude, I was totally in love with Joni Mitchell.
Mhm.
And that was who he was talking about, or he was referring to as the girl from California with
With a
flowers in her
flower.
hair.
Yeah.
So it was like they took elements of folk, blues, reggae, in Eastern music, and all the shit, and they somehow put it into a pot and made it sound like Led Zeppelin.
Right.
And that to
That's
me is
very
just,
true.
it's just fucking brilliant.
Mhm. Have you gone and seen the Becoming Led Zeppelin doc
Not,
that's out?
I know my manager just told me yesterday, he goes, dude, you are going to lose your shit.
That's what I keep hearing from friends that have seen it too. I'm going at the end of the month because I wanted to see it at an IMAX.
Well, it's in regular theaters now too. He said he
It,
saw
it
it in a
is.
regular theater. He goes, you have to see it in the theater though. The sound, it's
Right.
just unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, it is. It is in the regular theater close to my house, but the IMAX version in downtown Sacramento is coming at the end of the month. So I'm like, I'm going to hold out. I'm going to go all the way. I want the IMAX version. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go check that out. I think it's either February 28th or March 1st. I forget which day we got tickets for, but I'm excited to see it. But I was curious if you saw it as a fellow Zeppelin fan, because everybody that I know's telling me, dude, it's fucking amazing. I guess it only covers up to like the first two albums, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
that's what my manager said. He goes, man, if they did this, he goes, I'd really like to see them go, the next film go up to like Presence. You know what I mean? The rest of
Right.
their records. But sorry, I have to step in to light this.
Yeah, no worries. Getting a little wind there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, we should wrap up anyway.
I'm
J-
good. I got nothing to do and all day to do it. Although I do have to shave my balls later, but whatever.
yeah, I guess you don't have to pack for Europe yet. You probably not leave until next week or
No,
something,
I
right?
got a, I got a, I got a week for that. So I'm a little.
First Dead
uh
Daisies gig is Netherlands, I think. Is that right?
I
In
don't
March.
know. I got to look at the schedule, but
Yeah. I'll,
yeah,
I'll I did it when Doug was here. I did look up the dates. I put some of them in our interview like this. So I'll do the same with this one. Yeah, I think Netherlands is your first night there.
yeah,
But
we're doing Netherlands, couple shows in Germany, couple in Italy, which I'm happy about. Um, couple in France. So um, I love going over there. It's like all of our fans all over the world are great. But again, that radio thing, they just come out many, many more in Europe, all through Europe, Japan, South America. But again, the radio is different than it is here in America. So,
right. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed knowing that when you said that because I got to go to Italy 2 years ago, I think, and never once though did I have access to an actual radio to listen to radio there. And now I'm kind of curious, what would I have heard if I got the chance to do that? Because I didn't. I assumed it's the same everywhere now. That it's just the same few pop songs and that's about it.
no,
Or
I have a
classic
buddy. I
songs.
have a buddy that used to live in L.A. Um, a buddy of mine, Buccia, and his name is Antonio Bucciarelli, but we call him Buccia. And he's got a radio station in Tuscany that he's a DJ on, and he's always like, I'll get a text from him with a picture of whatever record the Dead Daisies put out, and he's already purchased it, and he's already playing it on his station. So
Nice.
it's a little more free over there.
That's awesome, and that's how it should be. When all this stuff got deregulated here, it really ticked me off because I don't know if you remember, but when we were kids, when I first got my FCC license and everything, radio stations were supposed to reflect the local communities that they were in. That was one of the mantras of what radio was for. And now it's anything but that. There's nothing local hardly anymore. Maybe a little bit of talk radio is local based, but everything else really isn't. It's just so.
Yeah, and that was what I was saying about the DJ that I met in Texas. Was like, how can a guy in Atlanta send me a fucking playlist
And not
and
have
tell
ZZ
me what to
Top or
play? And he goes, and he took a list. Here's the list that we were given this week, and it was, late '90s. It was like Alice in Chains, Soundgarden, like all the shit. And he goes, "There's not one fucking band from Texas in here." He
right,
goes, "My people want to hear ZZ Top. They want to hear Stevie Ray Vaughan. They want to hear King's X from
right,
Houston." You know what I mean? And I was like, "Hey, dude, I got nothing for you, man." It's like, I get it. So
right.
you have one company, Clear Channel, owns what, 400
Hundreds,
radio stations?
hundreds, yes.
Yeah, and it's like, here's the playlist for the week, guys.
Hmm.
And it's like, how is it that who gives that kind of power? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Whatever.
wouldn't even
So
enjoy being a DJ now because if I can't play what I want to play and like my old show, I used to feature a lot of unsigned Chicago bands too to help them out because nobody ever would help anybody if you weren't on Geffen Records or Warner Brothers or something, you weren't getting any airplay either. And we had a lot of talent in Chicago that just didn't get the right break or whatever. And if I couldn't do that, there's no point in being on the radio for me because for me it's never been about me. I don't want to promote me. I want to promote the music that I love. And if
Yeah.
I can't do that, then there's no point.
Yeah, it's crazy too. And you know, uh, I did a show here in Nashville right when I moved here. Um, it was for a music store because I used to have even when I was in Rat, I had a side gig. Like Gibson used to send me out to do acoustic shows in places like guitar centers and whatever mom and pop stores.
Right.
And I did one here, and there was a local band here. I don't even know if they're in existence anymore. But if you get a chance, I can't remember the name of the album, but the band was called Big Jim Slade.
Hold on. I'm going to grab a pen and write this down so I remember to look. Big Jim Slade.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's an old. I guess it was like one of those. What did they used to call them? The black exploitation films.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
remember.
it was like a movie Jim Brown did in the 60s or 70s or whatever. And that
Mhm.
was the name of the movie, Big Jim Slade. And but they did a record, and dude, I so they gave me this record while I was at the show. I did an acoustic set, and then these guys played. It was four-piece band. Two guys played lead guitar and sang. They had a killer drummer, bass player, and I listened to this record and I was like, what the fuck am I listening to right now? This is amazing. And it's just a couple session guys here in town. They recorded the record themselves. They wrote everything. They put it out themselves. No radio airplay, no support from any labels. It was just, hey, doing it for the love of doing it. And the
Right.
fucking record is brilliant. It's
Awesome.
amazing.
All right.
So
I hope I can find it. I'm
it's
interested to hear it.
online. I've played it for a few people. Like you can find it on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. It's out there somewhere.
I'll
But
look.
it's a really good record.
That's cool. I love this kind of thing where I get turned on to something I'm not familiar with at all. So I look forward to hearing that because I am not familiar with Big Jim Slade at all. So
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, dude, I don't even think they tour or anything. Like they
mhm.
just did the record. They'll do a couple shows locally, and then they all have other gigs. Like they're just guys that sit in a studio all day and just play guitar on other people's tracks.
Right.
But God, what a fucking great record. It's really cool.
Awesome. I look
So
forward to
I think
checking
check
that
it
out.
out. You'll like it.
I will. All right. Well, John, we should probably wrap things up. But what I'd like to do is, since we talked about Costi Bella being a little different for people, and you said some people seemed surprised at what you had done there, I'd like to add that to the end of our interview here. And then I'd like to have you pick a tune, which any one of them, from Light 'Em Up from the Dead Daisies. What song should I add to the end of this interview?
Um, well, considering I guess we have a new single out,
Stick with
you can
that.
you can do "Love That'll Never Be."
All right.
Um, if you've already played it, I guess I love the last record, the last song on the record.
Take
It's
My
called,
Soul.
yeah, that's a really good one too.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll do Take My Soul because when Doug was here, knowing that the video was impending and we thought maybe it was going to come out around the same time as our conversation, I did play Love That'll Never Be at the end
Okay.
of our chat. So I'll do Take My Soul because that I haven't even played on the weekly music show yet. So yeah, I'll do that one.
Yeah, and that was another one that lyrically it kind of took a minute to come, but once it came, man, it was like I wrote those lyrics in about an hour. My wife was like, How much did you have to drink? Like, where did this come from?" But it's really cool. I'm very proud of that song. I
Was
love
that
it.
one of your quickest where lyrics came to you? Did that song happen quicker than most?
Uh, no, it's really weird. Like some will come in 30 minutes, 20, 30 minutes. Again, like I sat there and I looked at the page for Bella for a couple of hours. And then once I had the first song, here's a little song about a girl I know, you know, it just came. I had the melody and then I just wrote the lyrics and it worked. Father, Mother, Son. I think I wrote that song in its entirety, chords, melody, lyrics, everything in about an hour.
No way, really?
It just came. And, you know, I may sit there and stare at the page for a minute, but once the thought comes, then the lyrics happen usually pretty effortlessly. Thank you. Jesus, I got to put my teeth back in.
Don't try to sing that word.
Yeah, don't try it. Don't try this one at home, kids.
That's awesome, man. All right. Well, everybody, we've been talking with John Corabi. We could probably talk for another hour, but we're going to wrap things up. But stick around to hear a little bit of John's music. I want to play Bella because I haven't played it on the music show now since it came out in 2021. So stick around for that. And then we'll go into Take My Soul from the latest album from the Dead Daisies, Light 'Em Up. The whole album's great. I said this when Doug was here as well. If you haven't added it to your collection yet, you need to. It's been out for several months now. You need to have it in your collection, though. It's a killer record, again, from the Dead Daisies. Everything that you've done with them, I've just loved. Every album has something that really jumps out to me, like Rise Up from the one you were on prior to this one, and just great stuff. I'm glad that you keep it coming. And then I think on this Saturday show too, guys, when I do the music show, we didn't get into it too much today, maybe another time. Union, that was a band that kind of got overlooked in its day. So I think we'll play something from the first Union album as well on Saturday's music show. But anyway, John Corabi, thank you so much for coming by Radio Bypass. Great to have you here. Have a good time in Europe in March. And
Will do, buddy.
Check out the deaddaisies.com, guys. And here comes Bella from John Corabi. All right? All right. Thanks again, John.
Thank you, buddy.
Feel like skin right from my bones. Blood and sweat is flowing from my poor old aching back. Boss whip a cracking while I swing this old pickaxe. Can you please forgive me? Lord, won't you take this poor boy home? Let me tell you of my tale. I was drunk and out of mind, but a man about a woman, that's when I took his life. The mob was there to string me from a hanging tree. Served well, he locked me up and threw away the key. I wish that I could take back everything that I've done wrong. I'll spend my dying days where I belong. I live my dying days singing the same old song. Take my soul, take my soul, take my soul, take is parched and dry inside these hard forbidden walls. Live until I die.